In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can make bulk copies of Moodle courses for a new delivery. And in this example, there's a series of existing units for off-campus delivery, and identical copies of those need to be made for on-campus. And the way we're going to do that is by producing a spreadsheet and upload that into Moodle. So the first thing to note are the various moving parts. I've got my courses here. I'll come back to this screen in a sec. We were provided a spreadsheet file, preferably if you can get it one out of Strata, therefore you know all the codes are accurate, but I'm going to use this as our working example. And what I've done ahead of time, just to speed things up, is to take that and to take the information out of that into our template Excel file. What I've got in the first of these columns is the various unit codes, in the second the unit titles. Notice that some of these are clustered. So for instance, these clusters here, and anywhere there is a cluster of competencies, we list all of them and separate that with a pipe symbol. Now the pipe symbol, kind of that vertical line, is above the return key. It's a shift and then the backslash key gives you the pipe. Okay, so we're now ready to go. What we need to provide is some information about what course to copy in each instance. So for example, this course here needs to be a copy of the equivalent off-campus version of the same unit. So let me swap back to Moodle momentarily to get that information. So what we need here is indeed the short title. Now, what's displayed here on screen is the long title. Hopefully the short and long title are the same. They should be. The new naming convention suggests so. I'm going to copy this title because I know I'm going to need it. So I'm just going to select that and copy it. But if you're ever in doubt about what the short title is, the quickest way to establish that is to click into the unit itself and look to the title displayed up here in the breadcrumbs, because that's actually the short title. They should be the same. Okay, so I've copied that anyway. I'm going to flick back now. So now that I've copied that information, I can return to my spreadsheet and paste that in. So that's the first of these. I'll pause the recording as I complete the remaining columns. Okay, we're getting close now. I've got the unit codes and titles for the newly creating units. I've got the templates from which they are to be created. Let's now turn our attention to these remaining columns. I'm just going to scroll the screen across a little bit here. Okay, so I'll jump across to this category column. This basically indicates where within Moodle, which category do you want these newly created units to be created into. So I'm going to return to Moodle, and in fact it's simply this category ID. It displays at the top here. So navigate into the category you wish to place these and then simply copy that ID. You return to Excel and paste it into the category. Now I've got some little formula that run in these remaining columns. And all we need to do now that we've got all of our ducks in a row is to copy down these formulas in these remaining columns. So I select them and I'm going to drag these down to cover all of the existing rows. And you'll notice that that copies them down. And in so doing, what it's actually done for us is to create the short name and the full name, etc. From the codes and titles previously supplied. So now we're at a point where we can prepare this for upload into Moodle. And all we need to do now is to go to File and Save As. Find an appropriate location. And what we're going to do is to save it as a CSV file. Save that. And we're ready to go over to Moodle. So we've got our CSV file ready to go. It's time to upload that. I go to the Administration tab. I go to Site Administration, underneath Courses, choose the option which reads Upload Courses. From here, I choose the CSV file I'd previously created, and then hit Upload. Now, the majority of the settings lower, you can leave completely as is. I happen to know that I think there's 17 courses that are in this CSV file. I like to, prior to uploading, just preview them all just to make sure there are no errors along the way. So I'm going to update this count here to 20 so that I can ensure that I'll see all of them in the preview. And then I hit the preview button and wait. What's happening at the moment is it's comparing what's in the CSV file with what's already in Moodle, and it's going to generate a report prior to making any course copies so that you can eyeball it and make sure everything's okay. That takes a few moments, so I'm going to pause the recording at this point. So here we are. Perhaps a minute has passed and it's come back with a preview. What you can see in the table here is effectively what it's going to produce for you. It's got a number of columns, and a really important column is this tick column. It's basically confirming that that one's ready to go. If there's any red marks, scroll the table across and there'll be a report in this final status column that'll indicate what the issue might be. But in this case, everything's hunky-dory. So if I scroll down, you'll note that it's going to, from the information provided, create 17 new thingamybobs. And then it gives me some options down here, all of which you can leave completely as is. So we're now ready to go. If I hit this Upload Courses button, it will commence that process. Now, of course, there's some fairly heavy lifting going on now. It's making, in the background, it's making backups of each of the courses, it's restoring the backups, it's doing all of the business work that needs to happen to copy a course. So don't be surprised if this process can take hours to run. However, I don't monitor it. I just let it do its merry thing. Check back in a few hours' time and see what happens. So at that point, I'm going to leave the recording.